Welcome to Freed on Business. He grew up in South Florida, has been in business here since the early 90s, and has closed over $3 billion in deals. He's seen it all. He always has an opinion, and he's always ready to share it. Informed, entertaining, and connected, he has his finger on the pulse of South Florida's business community. He's Jim Freed, and this is Freed on Business.
Welcome to Freed on Business as we continue to explore the environs outside of my isolation of COVID. Today we were at the Miami Board of Realtors unveiled their Red Shoe Economist study on adaptive reuse. It's tremendous. My good friend Charles Foschini, he finances a lot of that stuff, so we're going to talk to him about how it gets done. That's right. Today we talk about making the sausage, and it applies to your hometown too. What you'll hear today will directly impact your lives going forward. And that's right. I took off my mask. We're all fully vaxxed. We're going to rock and roll into the future. So Reagan, let's pay a couple of bills, and then we're going to come back and tell people what the future is going to look like. Hey, everybody, this is where I go. This is South Florida's longest running business talk show. We've been on since 2012, and you're going to watch me do it all without notes today. That's right. If you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why you have to check out Warren Henry. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar in their new store at 151st and Biscayne. You want an Audi? They've got them in Gainesville. I'm looking at a Jeep maybe. They've got those down in Key West. In fact, they've got everything in Key West. What do all those cars have in common? They're all great cars, and they come with the Warren Henry advantage. That includes dent replacement, key replacement, dent repair. You can make sure that you're getting a great price, and you get 3 days to make sure you like your car. If you don't, you can return it. Guess what? Nobody returns it. So join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian, lots of my friends. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. I think I love doing that. All right. That whole thing is really important about being nice. It's what keeps the whole world together. Someday I'm going to have a photo that's as sharp as Charles's over there. Call me at 305-773-6300. I get it done. I just financed a memory care facility. Boy, was that a tough deal. I've also financed this $100 million inventory loan. Okay, $90 million. Condo inventory loan. I've got all kinds of great money. I'm doing JVs for grocery anchor tenants. I'm doing build to suits for man caves in Miami. Touch me, I'm hot. Call me if I can help you solve your real estate problem. That's right. Be careful, Casey. 305-773-6300 gets you to me, Jim Freed. I can solve your problem kindly. Why call me? Because when you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
We're having a great time at a real live event. Casey took his first airplane flight in 18 months. That's why I'm standing a little far away from him. Who knows what's on that guy? Casey brought one of his top research people. He's going to introduce her. And what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about adaptive reuse. Why is Charles on? Because he's doing all kinds of great financing on adaptive reuse. He'll tell us about some of the deals. So I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Casey. He's going to introduce our other guest, and we're going to roll from there.
Great, Jim. It's especially great to be here in person.
I can't believe it. It's great. Woo, I touched you.
You touched me, so it's all good and no mask. So we are down here, the Miami Realtors, the commercial, and Florida Realtors sponsored a piece of research for us that we did on adaptive reuse. And so 3 years ago, we wrote the first paper, Adaptive Reuse 1.0, had to define it, find it, And so we did Adaptive Reuse 2.0, where we call it Making Bright Brighter. I got it right.
You got to go right side up there, Casey.
It's even brighter, right?
That's correct. It's red shoes either way. Who'd you bring with you, Casey?
So I brought Kaylin Peterson. She's part of our team with Red Shoe Economics, and she's a native Miamian. And so Kaylin was integral and created a really cool interactive story map. And we looked at several projects that we talked about. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, so looked at about 5 different projects that we talked about today. And projects I say relatively loosely because we really are looking at overall a neighborhood component of adaptive reuse now. So it was Wynwood as a neighborhood, on a whole, Doral, and they are trying to implement closely kind of what Wynwood has done. Wynwood's, got 2 decades ahead, but
I was a first mover in Wynwood.
Yeah.
I know the whole story. I'm friends with Dave Lombardi and Joe First from the beginning. I've done 2 deals there, including a deal with Lennar on the old Wynwood walls. Sorry, hipsters. And I also did a TDR deal for the Related Group, and I'm working on another right now.
That's when you were a clean campus.
Hey now. So I saw what happened in Wynwood. High five to Joe First, Dave Lombardi, and the rest of the first movers over there. You said Tony Goldman. Tony Goldman empowered Joe First. So Joe was the one that implemented Tony's vision there, and Dave was the first mover before Tony. High five, Dave. I said it. So what I really noticed at this event was that the most important thing is to undo the errors that our communities have done in the past, and this gives us a real opportunity to bring diverse parts of our community together. Can you help me understand how?
Sure. So we talk about this ESG, environmental, social, governance. Well, we're changing it to environmental, social, and green space. So the interstates divided us, broke our cities up, and now we're fixing that. So the Underline project is a great example of that. We had Meg here, who had the vision to get that started. She shared with us today, they've got the final funding in place. So they're doing the phase 2. The first half mile is done, the next 5 to 7 miles. And so really, when we talk about ESG and fixing what's broken us, a lot of it is adaptive reuse. It's bringing the green space element back to the neighborhood.
Green space is extraordinarily important. When I ran for city commission, my theme was that we need more green space, not less. We won't talk politics today, but there are attacks on our green space going on right now here in Miami. See what's going on Virginia Key as an example. And the fact that there is virtually no green space in Wynwood today. How are they going to address that? Because I know they have a plan.
Kaylin, we're going to do it on the rooftop. We're going to grow hemp on the rooftop.
Hey now, actually, they're going to plant trees. There's trees coming.
Yeah,
There's trees coming. I've actually parked my car under some of them. I still have to look for the tall building to park it under right now. There are trees coming, and yes, there will be interactive rooftops. And if they want to grow hemp, they can call me, but I'm not going to give them the good seeds.
Okay, well, talk about in Coral Gables, the parking garage. That's one idea.
So Coral Gables is looking at, they sent out an RFP in 2017 for 2 of their parking garages to be redeveloped. And it was accepted by a developer. However, the city has since reclaimed it and trying to develop it themselves. But the
Good luck to them.
Right? But the idea was you have this underutilized space on the first floor that you can transform into retail to reactivate it. And you also have on the rooftop, you can do a city park to really reactivate that area as well.
That would be really, really great. We need a lot more green space. My question would be I guess that would remain city space. One of the ways that I've done adaptive reuse, and I think that Wynwood Yard is a great example, it was a food truck court. It was a vacant lot. Then they reused it as a food truck court, which place held it until they built residential property on it, but you couldn't make the residential property on it work unless you could do ground floor retail. So the fact that you could mix the uses really helped. Are you seeing that in other deals? I'm going to get Charles involved. Charles, heads up.
Hey, Jim, I was just thinking of 2 things as you were talking there. One is, the Riverwalk along the Miami River and Brickell area where they're trying to and I'm not sure if that counts as green space or blue space because it's on the river. And the other is the Underline. You can manufacture park space all the way. And then, along the Ludlam Trail there, they're trying to redevelop that and reactivate that old railroad track as park space. And all of those are very innovative ideas and highly positive ones. I do want to point out, a lot of the schools around Miami-Dade County specifically, when they put those portalets in the open areas and they put the, that's because they don't want to violate their own park space rules, but effectively it comes out of being a park during that time. And I know that's something we talked about when you're running for commission, and it still exists. Yep, there's a real need in Miami for park space. We're the most underparked space
I think in the country for major cities, from my recollection. They're even doing on by the north side of downtown, they're rebuilding a overpass. One of the things that made it be called Overtown in the first place. They're going to rebuild that, and they're going to put enormous park space under there with soccer fields and stuff like that. It'll be innovative. It'll be interesting. I'd be really interested to see how that really plays out, because that's going to be a supersized underline kind of thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. It's really great. I know the Mellows are really looking forward to that, because it creates a beautiful front door for all of their buildings. They're building an enormous neighborhood up there. High five to the Mellow family and my good friend Peter Meckris for putting all of that together. So, KC, what is it about adaptive reuse that makes it good for our community?
So it fixes what we broke in the 50s and 60s with the interstates. Number two, we're all about, trying to make all the city works be diverse and integrated and bring all the good stuff that was there before in the 50s. So it brings that back. And even one other example we studied was the former Cutler Ridge Mall, the Cutler Bay. So we had the mayor, Tim Murbot, there to talk about it. And, it was great having him. He uses his ears and listens to people. And they've really streamlined the approval and zoning process to get things done. So it's not just the inner city, but we also have all these, defunct suburban malls that we've got to deal with. And those are opportunities for green space, jobs, small business, housing, all of it.
Yeah, but one of the things that you told me is that the big malls have one real underlying problem that really hamstrings them for redevelopment, and that's the cross easements. So how are people going to be able to really redevelop these malls unless they unwind all of the spaghetti underneath them?
So that's what they've done at Cutler Bay, the town. They've gone through that whole process, so it's ready to go, and they've got all the approvals where they're going to put the green space and move things around. So they've got a clean slate, but that's about an 8 to 10 year process to typically to do it. It's accelerating with all the retail bankruptcies and store closings. They're more amenable to get those out of the way. So we gave some other examples in Phoenix, Arizona, Marina Heights, and in Denver, Southeast Denver, the former South Glen Mall that's now the streets of South Glens. But all of those were 8 to 10 years to get where Cutler Bay is today. So the mayor's really doing a good job. Any support we can do, I really think he's on the right track here with a neighborhood approach rather than one off at a time.
One of the things I've seen to go into these malls, actually it's adjacent to them or contiguous to them, is sort of an outdoor eating venue place where they used to have the indoor food courts. Now what they're doing is they're building these places around open seating, and they just are sort of like a food court turned out, basically. Yeah. And so outside you have outdoor dining. They all put in this little, it's entertainment venue. They pay the person to pay the piccolo or the guitar, and suddenly you've got outdoor entertainment space right next to your mall, and it's driving traffic.
Absolutely. Works great except for in the winter months in Chicago.
That's what they have heaters for.
That's why we all.
The other thing that's great about that is you can reinvent the concept every week or every month. And, if you have a food court with food trucks, you drive in a different truck with a different theme, and you always keep it fresh. And, you've addressed a lot of longer term, but there are quick hits like that can happen almost immediately. I mean, these defunct malls, Jim, you and I have talked about this previously. I feel a lot of those are ripe to be schools. Miami-Dade County, whether it's a private school, a charter school, or a public school, nobody wants one in their backyard, even if they already have one. If the city expands horizontally, they take away green space. If the city expands vertically, they upset residents because now people have a view while they're sitting in class of their backyard swimming pools. But if you go into the malls, you drive traffic 5 different ways on parking patterns that already exist and parking lots that already exist, and then you have different traffic all throughout the work week, which I think could be a very underutilized approach to filling up some of these vacant spaces, and a readaptive use that doesn't have to take 8 to 10 years. Could it take 8 to 10 months from idea to build out and occupancy?
As Charles points out, we're seeing office come to the mall, and that regenerates activity and traffic for all the ancillary retail around it. And so whether it's office or medical, it's a whole lot better than an Amazon, warehouse. And so, and schools are another one. We're seeing universities come in. We have a good example in Atlanta. Emory University is taking over a defunct suburban mall and moving all the admin and research labs. So there's lots of innovative ideas here. And it's also a way we've seen some of these department stores converted into affordable housing. So.
Well, we'll be right back. When we're talking about converting different uses into housing, that's Charles's specialty. He's got the money to do it. So we'll be right back. Charles is going to talk to us about a couple of the structures and deals that he's worked on and how that's helping to drive better communities for us all. Reagan, rock the world. back, and we're South Florida's #1 business talk show for, gosh, a couple decades at this point. I've got great people on. We talk about great things. I hope to make your day every week better. I want to remind you that our main sponsor is Warren Henry. Warren Henry Automotive at 151st and Biscayne. Whether you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. I'm actually going to go get my wife a car this weekend. That's why you have to check Warren Henry. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infinity. We buy a lot of Infinities. Up in Gainesville, they sell Audis. They got Jaguars here in Miami too. Down in the Keys, they sell all their great nameplates. What do they have in common? They're all great cars. They come with the Warren Henry Advantage, which is a group of services that includes service loaner, tire protection, key protection. It's just great stuff that you use all the time. And then if you're concerned and you don't like your car when you bought it, well, you can return it within 3 days. Nobody ever really does that. They love their cars. So join me, my mom, my beautiful wife, Vivian. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. You should be too. Always the best service, always the best price, always. Warren Henry.
You know what's the best thing about a Warren Henry car right now, Jim?
Tell me.
They have all the chips that you need in your car. No chip shortages at Warren
Now,
Henry.
how many chips are in a car, Casey?
1,400 chips in an average new car today. Can you believe that? That's why we have a chip shortage.
I just wanted to make sure. Now, what are they doing that with the Keebler-Ells? How are they handling that?
Yeah, the kids, they say you just can't have one. So
You gotta have
keep having more.
That's incredible. Okay, thank you, Casey. That's the Economist spin on cars.
This is Becca Carlson from Carlson Integrated. A lot of our clients find that they can do anything, but not really everything. We are always excited to jump in and help. So whether you need another set of hands for a project or even comprehensive marketing management, our team of marketing mavens would love to have a conversation with you to see if we are the right fit. We do everything from logo and design work to email outreach and social media to writing and thought leadership. And here's a fun one. We are now offering our fabulous ebook of top 10 marketing tips on our website for free. So head over to carlsonintegrated.com and grab a copy today. And please always let us know how we can help. My email is Becca, that's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com. That's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com.
All right, what am I handling? I'm handling the fact that they're moving in the electrical equipment that we used earlier for Casey's talks. If you hear bumping and grinding, it's the guys that keep Miami moving. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate everything you've done during the pandemic. I know you and your friends have really sacrificed. The hospitality industry is what's bringing Dade County back. God bless you, and God bless your families.
Well, thank you very much.
You got it, man. Okay, you just saw it all right there. I don't have anything else to say. What's next?
So, Jim, one thing we talked about on,
Hold it. We're still in the commercial break, dude.
Okay.
That was the commercial.
I thought you were on. I never know.
No, so call me, Jim Freed, 305-773-6300, because you just saw it right there. When you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, we're back after that commercial break, thanking the people that make Miami move. I know Casey's got to get to his plane, so Casey, drop a couple of nuggets on me.
So one of the key takeaways was a term we used in the paper called preserve and enhance. There's always something we want to preserve, whether it was Wynwood or what was good, and then you want to enhance it and elevate it back out. So that's a big part of it. The bankers don't get it. They don't know how to necessarily always underwrite it. So they want more equity. They don't want as much debt. Part of our research is to try to give you those metrics. How do they perform and all of that. So whether it's permanent debt or whatever, they know what the LTV and debt service could be. So the capital is a tough piece. And Meg, who was a visionary behind the underline, she had a great when she says scarcity creates creativity. That's what adaptive reuse is. That scarcity of product or land or whatever creates the creativity.
That's tremendous. And just for the record, I have the creative capital to go up to 85, 90% on the capital stack. And I know Charles does too. We're not going to compete with our programs today, Charles, but Charles is one of the most innovative finance people in town. And after you got to go cut out your thing, we're going to talk to him about how he's putting together incredible transactions that are transforming the face of South Florida, just like me.
So we will say, if you want to know, we have the largest database in the country across 40 states on adaptive reuse. Let us know if we can help you or Jim or Charles on anything. And so check out the paper on redshoeeconomics.com or the Miami Realtors. We should have it all posted on there here by lunchtime.
Thank you so much, Casey. I really appreciate you. I know you got to go spread your wings and go back to wherever it is you came from. That little box they're going to put you back in so you come out again. Thank you for coming to South Florida on your first trip.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We're shaking hands.
There you go. And no mask.
Yeah, but I do have a mask and Carell for later. Honey, I'm being safe. I promise. Everybody here is vaxxed.
We're going to do a time capsule. We're going to put all the masks in the time capsule and go back into a new era.
Oh, God.
So whenever I'm on with Casey, I always say I got big shoes to fill. But now that he's leaving, I got red shoes to fill, too. So I'll do my best.
Oh, you're tremendous, Charles. You're tremendous. There's a reason I have you on the show, and it's because you're real good. All right.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Take care, Caitlin. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. And here's the Biltmore. Okay. So, Charles, what I really want to do is I want to talk a little bit about some of the deals that you've been working on. I know that you've got incredible capital for transactions. Let's make believe that somebody's got an apartment building, they've got some extra land in FAR, they want to do something to improve the cash flow and create value. What kind of program do you have that they could work with you on?
So really, before I even address what kind of program I have to look at the sponsor, the quality of the sponsor, and the quality of the business plan. And then, that gives me a real litmus test of who I can access, what the cost of that capital may be, and what the leverage may be. And, as a general rule of thumb, in today's market, there is a tremendous amount of capital. And that type of bridge capital looks 5 years into the future at a stabilized NOI and says, can I get out at a 75% loan to value in the case of multifamily? And if the answer to that is yes, they'll give you as much money as you need. And then it becomes a real fun assignment because I can drive one lender against another to shape the terms and structure, including the rate and cost, to meet my client's needs.
The most important thing is always the sponsor. I always work very hard to find the right sponsors. I like to ask people that call me that are looking to build their careers. I like to go, who's your top 25? Your top 25 should be 10 or 15 sponsors, 10 or 15 capital sources, and 5 or 6 people that help you feel good every day. So if you can have those top 25, I think it's extraordinarily important. I know that you've got just a handful of people that you really do a lot of your business with. Now, Charles, what do the government agencies have to say about this adaptive reuse? Can you get capital for that?
So I would tell you that the government agencies ebb and flow with what's important to them. And a lot of that comes from the administrative climates that surround them. And a lot of that comes from the capital markets. I would suggest that anytime you have other income that's more than 20% of the total revenue, the chartered purpose of Freddie, Fannie, and FHA is for housing. So they have to either look at that with a very jaundiced eye or discount it, or come up with a very creative way to count that extra income. And, it doesn't mean to say they're not going to be involved in mixed use projects or readaptive use projects, but as a term end lender for multifamily housing, there's better be a lot of people in there. And that's where most of the income is derived.
We're talking about the marketplace, and you saw me doing a text, and the text is very, very appropriate for what we're talking about, because they're going to blow up my building, or at least they're going to take us all out and rehab it. And so that's an incredible adaptive reuse deal that's going on right here. They're going to remain. Well, I don't really know what they're going to do anymore. There's all kinds of scuttlebutt on the street, but I was talking right there to the realtor who said you got to go tomorrow to take a look at houses because they may not be there on Sunday where your wife wants to go. Are you seeing this on the commercial side too, Charles? Good stuff is going real fast?
So, I would suggest that if you're in the southeastern United States, if you're in Texas, if you're in areas that are very business friendly and are very tax haven friendly, you're seeing a flight of tenancy that is following the flight of senior executives. And, I happened to bump into some senior leasing guys at Cushman yesterday while I was waiting for a lunch appointment. And they went down a list of real live tenants between 20 and 40,000 square feet that are either senior expansions out of New York and California and places like that, or wholesale moves where they discovered that they can work from anywhere, and the talent pool in South Florida is growing. And so they're seeing a transition of what they can do to work from here as opposed to somewhere else. And, it's becoming more of a reality and less of an anecdote as we're coming out of the pandemic and seeing what's really happening. I would suggest that the epicenter of all that for South Florida and Florida is really Brickell Avenue. We see Brickell as dense because we've watched it grow up. But if you're in Manhattan and you come to Brickell, it's not very dense at all. You're getting a very strong city feel without the millions and millions of people in a highly contained area. If you look at our executive housing on a relative scale, it's inexpensive and it's expansive. It's a lot larger, and it has access to higher quality of life amenities that you can use all year round. I figured that out in 1982 when I came down on college interviews, and why the rest of the world is figuring it out now, I don't know, but it's certainly been an exciting city to watch, and more has happened here probably in the last 7 years of our careers, and it did in in your case, your whole life, since you lived down here since you were born.
100%. And while I'm looking for the apartment or wherever I'm going to move, I move from I go away from where I am, which is relatively low density. I go a little bit farther south, and it's just ridiculously dense. It's something I'm not really comfortable with. I go to Miami Beach. Again, lots of density, lots of speculation. I came to this meeting at the Biltmore. I go, where did I go? So tomorrow I'm going to be looking in Coral Gables. I told my wife I'm going to get her a membership at the Biltmore. She's going to go to the spa. She's going to go to the pool. She's going to get all her beautification stuff done, and I'll still be able to go to all my meetings. But this way, if I have to go north, I'll leave early. But most of my stuff is southward. And then, of course, the hemp farm is easy. I'll just be living up there 2 or 3 days a week.
There you go.
Well, listen, I want to take a quick break. Charles, can you stick with me? Because I know I jammed on you. Can you stick with me for one more segment?
I'm happy to be here for the duration, Jim. My pleasure.
Yes,
I ate my lunch early.
You're such a good friend, Charles. I mean it. You really are. I really appreciate you. Reagan, let's take it away, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to Charles about some of the things we're seeing in the financial markets, and I'll talk a little bit about the hemp farm. Back after this. Welcome back. This is South Florida's longest running business talk show. We've been doing it since 2008. We've had Warren Henry as a sponsor since 2012. I want to thank Warren, Larry, Eric, and Samantha over at Warren Henry for always being there for us. I'm going to see them next week. I'm going to bring Vivian in, and we're going to get her a new vehicle. So when you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. That's why I always check out, and my friends do too, Warren Henry. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar at 151st and Biscayne. They've got Audi up in Gainesville. Down in the Keys, they've got everything. I actually love those Jeeps. Those new Jeeps look really good. What do they all have in common? They come with the Warren Henry Advantage. That includes key replacement, dent repair, make sure that you're getting the best price guarantee. You can return your car after 3 days if you don't like it, all kinds of great stuff. But the main thing is that you get to buy and be a member of the Warren Henry family. So join me, my wife, my mom. We're all members of the Warren Henry family. Lots of my friends too. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry. I'm sitting here trying to solve my problem. If I've got a housing problem, I guess just about everybody does. Give me a call at 305-773-6300 if you need somebody empathetic to your personal situation. I'm moving out, but I'm looking at some great places. My wife is going to live like a queen, and I'm going to treat you the same way if you call me for business. You need debt, you need equity, you need ideas. I've got them all. I'm doing JVs on Publix deals. I'm doing single-family rentals. Great stretch construction loans, all kinds of creative concepts for just Good people. So give me a call at 305-773-6300. Let me plug you into my network and help you soar. Why? Give me a call, because when you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
All right, I'm here. I'm looking for a house. It's a crazy thing to have to be doing, but you really don't have a minute to waste. Charles, welcome back to the show. Charles Fraschini, the market leader for Berkadia. Guy has incredible pockets of money. I love this guy. He's also smart and personable. Wonderful friend. Charles, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, so we've been talking about what's going on. We're coming out of the pandemic. I'm here at a hotel. I just went to a meeting with all kinds of people. None of them had masks on except for me. That's okay. I also brought my Purell. They're just used to it. That's the way I was before the pandemic. But everybody's out, everybody's doing things, and business is rocking and rolling. If you're in a place where it's not happening, come to Florida like everybody else. So, Charles, what are you seeing from the capital markets? Because I talked to a guy the other day. He said he had 90 offers for a debt structure that I didn't think anybody could do on his apartment deal. He said it was because everybody from New York came down here because they couldn't do deals in New York. What did you see last year? What are you seeing now? And what do you think is coming forward with the capital guys that always come to your office?
So I would tell you that last year, a lot of capital sat on the sidelines, and the capital that was left that was executable and reliable was really the agencies. So if you happen to do a fair amount of business, which I'm thankful that I do, Freddie and Fannie were to a lot of extent the only game in town, and that took what could have been an upsetting year if you were a commercial guy or just relied on one source of capital and made it pretty spectacular. This year, the agencies, in part because of what they were rolling into the first quarter, were much more subdued in their approach to the business. And the capital that sat on the sidelines was kind of welled up and exploded. And they looked for where to go. And in many cases, that capital happened to be sheltering in Florida. So they were ready, willing, able, and here. So, they had a good opportunity, and they were part of the antidote, right? That vibe of it's a lot more crowded here, and people are leasing, and, that was true. On the commercial side, the perception, which I believe is quickly becoming a reality, is that, people are paying their rents, they're honoring their commitments, and they're coming back to the office. And they either will come back to the office or have to come back to the office by the end of this year. And then we in the Southeast have been benefited by that flight out of New York and other areas. And we're starting to see real tendency and growth. So that is very self-supporting of the capital markets as well. And if you need a loan today in almost any sector of the capital markets and in almost any sphere, other than, let's say, a conference hotel, or a mall that did not perform well in COVID, there's capital for you. And I don't know if there's 90 quotes. I don't know that I would go to 90 lenders on any given transaction unless I had to. But there are lenders that are actively engaged in lending in all parts of the capital stack and pricing it according to the risk. So it's a pretty vibrant market, and in the closings that you and I have been fortunate to have, you see that it's a lot of different lenders and a lot of different types of executions.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think doesn't get said a lot is that the fact that the Latin American and European buyer and investor and tourist, the fact that they have not been able to come has really altered the marketplace here. It looks unusual to somebody who's younger than 35 years old, but if you've been here, you know that Miami was built on that New York-Chicago pipeline in Boston and Philly, and that's starting to happen again. So it's really exciting to see that. And I must tell you, if Latin American was open for business, I don't know how Miami would survive. We'd just explode. We'd be like a match. And I think that's coming. I think that everything that's going on here now is supportable, if for no other reason that we only have half the realistic demand that we're going to have for this stuff.
Well, I would say we've always had demand from Latin America, and that demand is bottled up at the moment because of the travel restrictions and because Latin America, to a large degree, is behind us in terms of our recovery and from the pandemic. But the groundswell of New York and the names and the seriousness of those names, whether they're taking 5,000 feet or 50,000 square feet, that's pretty new. And that's going to push us to new heights in terms of office and industrial values. It's going to push us in terms of new heights to single family home prices and values. And it's going to make us a better city in a lot of ways. It's going to make us a more expensive city in many ways. And that's going to have an impact against those of us that are not in, that upper tier. And it'll be interesting to see how we can effectively transform that and catch up in terms of market rate housing that's attainable and market rate housing that is affordable without being subsidized.
Well, I really think that part of the answer is what KC and his team are talking about today, and it's something that the Miami Herald profiled over the weekend, and that's the vertical integration of neighborhoods. It's something I talked about on the campaign trail. I've been talking about it for years, ever since I've been doing this since I studied downtown downtown Tampa and downtown Orlando for their DDAs. Vertically integrated city centers is our answer for all of this problems, all this social problems, all of the transportation problems. It's vertically integrated centers where you don't have to go out. We have the guy from Palmetto Bay here, the mayor from Palmetto Bay. He's saying that attorneys are going down to their city center. I know that. I know the first attorneys were down there. People don't want to go and travel. They want to be able to do by where they are and by with and in their own little neighborhood. The neighborhoods are diversifying from both a demographic standpoint, but also from a product standpoint. You're seeing different product being built. Wynwood has 2 spectacular Class A office buildings. God bless those guys. They're going to have to hold on for a while, but by the time they finally are filled up, Wynwood will have retail, office, great hotel, great residential, still have its entertainment vibe. South Beach has basically moved to Northwest 2nd Avenue in Wynwood. It's just wild to go there. It's a tourist town. You go one block away, and there's Zach's and all the neighborhood. It's amazing. No,
I agree. Look, we were fortunate to fund the Gateway at Wynwood right before the pandemic. I think it closed in December of 19. And, and keeping in contact with the owner and the leasing folks, the switch is really turned on in terms of potential demand and the caliber of the names that are looking at South Florida and Wynwood specifically. And if you're coming down here, you've got a fresh slate. So an area like Wynwood that has a lot of the ingredients of a true 24-hour city, it's its own mixed-use project in a way, is exceptional. And then you have the ability to pivot very quickly to downtown or Brickell. If you wind up working there, you have an ability to walk to Midtown or the Design District. And so you're really at the confluence of 4 neighborhoods. And if you want to shoot out to 95 and go far north or far south, you have the ability to do that as well. And it's growing very organically. From my perspective, it's not something like Swire did on Brickell Key, where they could really create a community over time, and what they did in Brickell City Center in almost a blink of an eye in terms of how they created a whole community. Wynwood is a sum of a lot of different parts, but yet it's working together extremely well, and I like to see that continue.
Oh, that's why I've lived there. You just mentioned all the reasons I've lived there for 35 years, but now it's really changed. It's become a much more urbanized area. When I lived there, it was a reverse commute to everywhere. Now everybody wants to be there, and I can see the highway. It's always getting off into Wynwood is always very difficult. So I'm actually going to look for more residential place. I'm going to look in Coral Gables. Like I said, I drove through all of the urbanality. I arrived at the Biltmore and I said, oh my God, my wife needs this place. She just does. She does.
The Gables is a great place. I live on the outskirts in South Miami on Incorporated Dade, so I enjoy that as an 100%. Amenity all the time. But I tell you, if you like the old Wynwood, you could look at the WOW District or the Health District or Allapattah. They're all synonyms for the same location, and you've got exceptional ways to jump on the arteries that feed the counties, and you also have its own vibe as it continues to develop. And then you've got a lot of employment with the University of Miami and the civic areas. And then with the River Landing project, you've got spectacular amenities service that whole area.
Yes.
You know,
Andy did a great job on that deal. And one of the things that's really important there, you didn't even mention, is its proximity to the largest employer in everything, which is the airport.
Right, the airport. Well, I said major travel arteries, but that was the air artery, Jim.
That's terrific. You know, the transportation arteries really are very important in wherever you locate your business. When we're considering the hemp farm, we're going to have water with the Okeechobee Canal. We're going to have the turnpike. We'll have the Beeline. We'll have 95. Access to people is very important. And by looking up into Martin County, I've really seen the special things about other areas that they're going to be under pressure too. Our neighborhoods are expanding. The Bright Line is going to expand our whole urban area. All the things, Charles, all the things that we thought about and were taught in school are actually happening. Can you believe that?
I do believe it, Jim.
I do too, because we're making it happen, Charles. It's so great. We're here on Freed on Business with my good friend, Charles Fischini, one of the real thought leaders in town, one of the real capital providers, one of the people that really makes it go. And I got to say it this way, one of the reasons you watch Freed on Business. We're going to be right back. Charles, can you stick with me one more segment?
I'll do it, Jim. I'll do it for you.
He's bringing his looking glass for the next segment. We're going to look into the future with Charles Fischini. He talks to all the smart capital, and he talks to me and you too. Reagan, let's rock the world. This is Freed on Business. We're South Florida's longest running business talk show. We were on the radio for years. Then the radio went automated. We've been doing podcasts since then. What a rifle shot to all of you. I want to thank everybody for listening and supporting the show and supporting all the people that we have on. In every single case, tremendous people. Last week we had Scott Sim on, and his wife and their team are helping us right now find a home. Thank you so much, Scott and Belinda Sim. Remember, if you're looking to buy or lease a car, you want to get every advantage that you can. Our friends at Warren Henry can help you. They've been sponsors since 2012. That's a long time. I guess we sell a lot of cars for them. Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar. I'm taking my wife up to their store on 151st and Biscayne next week. After we find our house, I'm going to get her a new car. My wife is going to be spun out like everything. Yours should be too, or your husband, or your significant other, however. But give me a call at 305-773-6300. Oh, I did the wrong ad. Okay. Warren Henry, Land Rover, Range Rover, Infiniti, and Jaguar. They're all great cars, and they all come with the Warren Henry Advantage. That means you get complimentary dent repair, key replacement. You get a service loaner to make sure you pay the best price for your car. And hey, if you don't like your car, you can return it in 72 hours. Thank you to Eric, Larry, the whole team, Samantha. I love them all. They really help us out. My wife is a Warren Henry family member. My mom is a Warren Henry family member. You should be too. Always the best price, always the best service, always Warren Henry.
This is Becca Carlson from Carlson Integrated. You know, a lot of our clients find that they can do anything, but not really everything. We are always excited to jump in and help. So whether you need another set of hands for a project or even comprehensive marketing management, our team of marketing mavens would love to have a conversation with you to see if we are the right fit. We do everything from logo and design work to email outreach and social media to writing and thought leadership. And here's a fun one. We are now offering our fabulous ebook of top 10 marketing tips on our website for free. So head over to carlsonintegrated.com and grab a copy today. And please always let us know how we can help. My email is Becca, that's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com. That's BEKAH at carlsonintegrated.com.
They do a great job. They're my social media people. They really help me, and they help me connect with you. Charles, put that picture up. I never looked that good. That's a great picture. Hey, everybody, I'm Jim Freed. I have access to debt and equity. I can help you solve your problems. I work with them big and small. I'm helping some folks build what we call man caves here in the Little River area. We're going to build a bunch of warehouses for sale. You're going to love them. I've got the man who invented the concept working with me. Then what are we going to do? Well, we're going to do some single-family rental residential all across the state. We've got money for that. We're doing some grocery-anchored retail development. Got money for that. Give me a call if you've got a capital need, debt or equity. I can get you all the way up the capital stack. Jim Freed, 305-773-6300. Reach out to me. Why? Because when you call me, it's always all about you.
Welcome back to Freed on Business. Connect with us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Jim Freed or at Freed on Business, and on Instagram at Jim Freed1. Now, back to your host, Jim Freed.
Well, we're going to prove how old I am now. I grew up in Miami. The show is about adaptive reuse. I think Miami is being adaptive reused. The entire place is being turned inside out thanks to our friends from outside and our good friends from inside. I've got capital coming out of my ears for just about everything. If you're a good sponsor, I got money chasing you already. Charles is there. He's got incredible debt and equity from the agencies and some of his sponsors, and together we can basically get just about anything that makes sense done. Charles and I are going to talk about what we see coming up in the future because the city has evolved. What are the next steps that it's going to take? Charles? We had Casey on. Casey would probably say, it all depends on what the city fathers do with the infrastructure and green space. My God, I wish he was there when I was running for city commission. It is all about the green space and the connectivity and making it a livable city. And that's why people are coming here. And when I say Miami, I'm talking from basically down on Key West all the way up to Martin County, because that's what somebody from New York thinks is Miami. Charles, I think each person and each company, they find a different place in our marketplace, going back to what the Herald said about neighborhoods. You got to find what works for you. Just the way you match up the right sponsor and the right capital, people need to match up their corporate culture with their neighborhood. Somebody comfortable in Wynwood may not be comfortable in Coral Gables or Doral. Where do you think the next markets are that people are going to focus on, and why?
Well, institutional capital tends to be a wonderful follower. And they're going to look at the areas, like Brickell, like the Gables, like Plantation, Palm Beach, that have consistently been on the map and on the radar of just about everybody. Tampa, Orlando. And so you'll see that continue to evolve. The micro markets, the smaller submarkets, the evolving submarkets like a Wynwood, my thought is that's going to continue to be the realm of private equity and folks that, may look at something and say, wow, this looks like the meatpacking district, or this looks like Chelsea 20 years ago, and come in and make that type of play with that type of vision. And, historically, South Florida, a lot of the big deals, they did not get built by, the Heinzes and Brookfields of the world. They got built by the Alan Ojedas and the Mellos and Luis Polenta and so foreign sponsors that looked at Miami and saw it really as a much preferred evolution of Latin America, and looked at it with a different vision than the folks that were here or the folks that were frankly making decisions in New York. And that's all turned on its ear in the last 15 months as a result of the pandemic. And I believe you're going to see a lot of both.
I agree with you. I think this is just the beginning. I'd like to point to my personal experience that right before the pandemic started, I was broadcasting from a radio studio. Then I had moved to broadcasting on Zoom, a platform I'd never heard of that Reagan introduced me to from my home. And 2 weeks after that, I was doing a Zoom radio show, basically, a Zoom podcast. And it's been absolutely tremendous. And that was in my house. If I had tried to do what I'm doing now, I don't know that I could have done it 18 months ago. What am I doing now? I'm doing the show on my phone in a hotel as the hotspot. And I could be virtually anywhere in the world and no one would know. You think that doesn't look like I could be in Barcelona and nobody would know. So I really think that the internationalization of technology and the stability of the networks is really one of the most important things. And we found that out in Texas when they had the problem with their electric. And I think that you're going to see that infrastructure is really where it's at. And the other thing that's going to come that people really aren't seeing is there's an incredible evolution coming in agribusiness. Agribusiness is also real estate. Just ask the Met and Pru about that, and all the local banks that are talking to me about, that's right, they're actually considering funding my hemp farm and vertically integrated CBD business as simply a regular C&I loan. High five to them for already getting it. So there's a lot of things that are coming. There's new technologies, new places, new neighborhoods, new connections. And the most important thing is the word new. You got to be flexible. You got to be open-minded. You can't freak out that you have to do your radio show from the meeting room, that maybe there'll be electric, maybe there won't, maybe there'll be a good signal, maybe there won't. You got to just know it's really going to happen. And for people that just tuned in, maybe you missed the come in on one of the breaks where they were moving equipment in here. The people that work at the hotel were doing that. I stopped the show to thank them. We don't talk about them on my show very often. We don't. But the people that keep the world moving, that have made the biggest sacrifices, they need the heads up and the hats off. You know, I always end the show with a thank you to the first responders and stuff like that. I think that, you know, we're almost there. I'm not to the show yet, but maybe I ended a little bit early this time because I'm in the hotel and everything. So if you don't mind, Charles, you just want to kind of roll a little bit. Would that be okay?
You roll, Jim.
Thank you so much. You are such a good friend. You know, Chris is so lucky to have you as a partner. Chris, you're tremendous too, but Charles, he's the straw that stirs the drink. He really is. Charles and I are direct competitors, and I put him on the show all the time because he's just a tremendous person. He has my complete trust. He is the consummate professional. Charles is what I made my decision to surround myself with people like Charles. My ego isn't so big. I want to be with the experts. I want to have people like Charles surrounding me, not only because they're smart, but because they support my ideas. And that's really what we're all about. We have to come together and support each other. We're not going to have the same ideas or the same solutions, but we all believe in making it a better place for our families. That's why the people are moving to South Florida and Florida, because they know it's a place that they can have a better life for their family. I'm committed to helping that happen, both me personally and my family, which we're not going to talk about that right now. Oh, yeah, we will. Oh, my family. Oh, you can't see the button I'm wearing, so I'll take it off. My family. So we're all committed to making Florida a better place for everybody. There shouldn't be a far left. There shouldn't be a far right, but there is. We don't talk politics here, so let's just talk about everybody should come together. The person that I met today, that I saw today, that's probably the most important person I met, not Kobe, the architect or the mayor, it was Meg, who put together the Underline, a place for our community to come together in an otherwise industrial wasteland. She turned it into a green space where everybody from all races, all income levels, all ages can come together and have a good time. Because that's what we really want to do. All these things that we talk about real estate is just placemaking for you to live your life. Well, now we're coming out of it, and it's time to live your life. I choose to live my life actively, served by wonderful people. That's why I live in Miami and do business in real estate with all my friends like Charles. Charles is a real indication of the kind of people I like to surround myself with. If you're listening out there and you want to connect with me, I'm always open for business. And so I'm going to end the show like this. I want to thank everybody that's made sacrifices, especially the people in the Miami hospitality industry who are single-handedly bringing back our economy. Thank you to all of them. I met a lot of them today, and I personally thank them. You should too in your town, in your area. Those people have really been hurt. I want to thank all our sponsors, UF, the Warren Henry family, but I want to thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in and sticking with me and for helping me stay strong. I've gotten deals off of this podcast from New Zealand. I'm not kidding. Hey, Lindsay, high five. So call me at 305-773-6300. Thank you to everybody Remember, the person that wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now, go out there and make it happen. Our first show in June, we're going to have the Silver Knight Award winners on. You're just going to love it. These kids are tremendous. I already said the person who wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. Now go out there and make it happen. Now I'm going to end the show with God bless you and God bless America. Charles, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you to the Red Shoe Economy for bringing the ideas. And thank you to everybody who I meet who helps me stay strong. The most important person is my wife. I love you, honey, and I'm on my way home. Reagan, it's yours. Let's rock.